Man, bro, did a song with Lul Timm. Man, y'all, shut y'all. They ain't gonna do shit that niggas up, man.
That's Lul Timm King Von Shooter straight up calling out every O-Lock member like he's got no fear. After Chief Keef linked up with NBA Youngboy, the block lost one of their own, and now his killer's out here taunting them on camera like it's a game. But what did O-Lock do about it? Did they strike back or stay quiet? When that silence hit the internet hard, people started wondering, did Tim just dig his own grave with this move? Things got wild fast. Sosa teaming up with the ops had the whole block losing their minds. So here's how it went down. On February 13th, 2026, the rap game was chilling. People scrolling through their timelines, arguing about who's top 5 dead or alive. Just another normal day. Then out of nowhere,
Lul Timm responded to people being mad at Chief Keef and NBA Youngboy just announcing a new collab dropping soon. This is something to talk about.
boom, a new track dropped and shook the culture to its core. The song? Rooms, produced by Mike Will, made it, and the names on that beat had everybody's jaw on the floor. NBA Youngboy and Chief Keef on the same track? Nobody saw that coming. And when that studio footage leaked, showing them vibing in the booth like nothing ever happened, man, the internet lost it. Not just, that's cool energy. Nah, full-on chaos. Twitter exploding, blogs posting nonstop, fans arguing in every comment section possible. If you know the backstory, the names, the losses, the real-life tension, you already knew this wasn't just a song, this was a message. A bold move that hit deep to the block. It wasn't just music, it felt like a betrayal. So let's break down who we're really talking about here, because context means everything when it comes to the streets. Chief Keef, real name Keith Farrell Cozart, born August 15, 1995, is the straight-up creator of O-Lock. And let's be real, this man didn't just hop in the game, he built a whole movement from the ground up. People call him the godfather of drill for a reason. Sosa came up in the tough streets of Parkway Garden Homes on Chicago's South Side.
I'm starting to see why people had a saying that the best thing Chief Keef could have done was distance himself from O-Block and get out of Chicago.
The same spot that got renamed O-Block back in 2011 after the loss of O.D. Perry. That's where it all started. Picture this, a little kid spitting bars at 5 years old on his mama's karaoke machine. He was already chasing that sound before most people even knew what rap dreams looked like. Fast forward to 2011, he's a teenager on house arrest for a gun charge, stuck inside but still making noise. That's when he started dropping those raw freestyles on YouTube, and boom, that right there birthed drill music as we know it. Those gritty 808s, the wild auto-tune hooks, the pain-filled bars about real life in the trenches. That's pure Sosa energy. Every drill artist since then, from London to Atlanta, is building on his blueprint. The man was just a kid, but even then, he was shaping the entire sound of a generation. By 2012, Sosa wasn't just hot, he was on fire. The whole industry had its eyes on him. His mixtape Back from the Dead was blowing up, and when he dropped I Don't Like, it straight up changed the game. Kanye West himself heard that track, jumped on the remix with Pusha T, Jadakiss, and Big Sean, and boom, it went from viral to Billboard Hot 100. That one joint kicked off a crazy label war that ended with Chief Keef locking in a massive $6 million deal with Interscope Records. And yeah, he even got his own imprint, Glory Boys Entertainment. Then came Finally Rich, his debut album, that dropped the same year. The features alone were wild. 50 Cent, Wiz Khalifa, and of course, the iconic Love Sosa. That track didn't just hit numbers, it went quintuple platinum. That album stamped him as the official godfather of drill music. But here's what most people forget. He was only 16, a kid carrying the pressure of his entire hood while real danger circled around him nonstop. It wasn't just rap beef, it was real-life tension. His team saw how serious things were getting and made the call to move him out to the suburbs, to a mansion in Northfield before he could even turn 18. That move might have saved his life, but it also marked the start of him leaving the block behind.
What parts of the body?
I get shot in my right hip bone, and I get shot on my ass. I go in and out though.
And he never truly came back. Now, across from him on this new collab track is NBA Youngboy, real name Kentrell Deshaun Galden, straight out of Baton Rouge, one of the most streamed rappers on the planet, no question. Normally, a collab between two rap giants like this would be a huge win for the culture, but not this time. Because here's where it gets messy. Youngboy's been locked in a deep and ugly feud with Lil Durk and OTF for years. We're talking full-blown diss tracks, non-stop subliminals on albums, and ties with people who've been connected to real-life violence linked to OTF. That's why this Chief Keef and Youngboy link-up ain't just music, it's a ticking time bomb. NBA, Youngboy didn't just throw shade, he dissed King Von, rest in peace, on tracks more than once, and that's where things cut deep. See, Von wasn't just any rapper, he was O-Block royalty. After Chief Keef stepped away, Von became the heartbeat of that whole block, carrying its name, its pride, its story. So in the eyes of O-Block, Youngboy isn't just another rival in the rap game, he's the op, capital O, capital P, period. Now that clip making rounds online, that's from Lul Timm himself, the man who pulled the trigger the night King Von lost his life. He's out here casually telling his side of what went down like it was just another night.
Loyalty for me is strong though. It's like loyalty to me is for everybody that a nigga fucking with. So
we'll dive into that soon, but you gotta understand what that means right now. Chief Keef, a man who built O-Block's name, is now teaming up musically with the dude who's tight with the man responsible for Von's death. That's why the streets went wild. This wasn't just music anymore. This was a full-blown betrayal in the eyes of the block, and the numbers don't lie. Rooms wasn't just trending, it was skyrocketing. In just 4 days, the track pulled 1.3 million views on YouTube, over 1.2 million hits on TikTok, and more than 304,000 streams on Spotify in the first day. Mike Will Made It cooked up the beat for his upcoming album R3 Set, dropping March 20th, 2026, and yeah, the production was flames. Youngboy came in with that melodic hook, his signature raw auto-tune energy dripping through every note. Then Sosa slid in with a cold, heavy verse about survival, bread, and opposition, that pure Keef formula fans love.
Well, you pull out and you shoot 4 times.
Yeah, the gun jammed.
Oh, the gun jammed.
Yeah.
But the block, they weren't feeling it at all. Right after the track dropped, O-Block and OTF affiliates wasted no time calling it out. They labeled it a straight-up snake move. Some said Sosa had flipped on his people, choosing a bag and some studio time over loyalty. One O-Block member even posted online that Keith went against his ish, promising O-Block would forever stand strong without him. The tension wasn't just online chatter. It felt like real lines were being drawn in the sand. Some people took it way further, claiming Chief Keef was officially banned from ever setting foot on O-Block again. Wild, right? Especially since the man hasn't even been back to Chicago in years. But to them, the emotion behind it was real. This collab felt like Sosa was straight up spitting on King Von's grave, like he was co-signing everything Youngboy and his crew stood for. The disses, the mocking, the constant shots at O-Block since November 2020. And here's the thing, in the hood.
Yeah, that's the second time I done got shot.
Are you more calm about it this time since you've gone through it before?
Yeah, because like the first time I got shot, I didn't even have a panic attack.
Perception is everything. It don't matter what you meant to do. It's all about how the streets see it. And the way they saw Rooms, it looked like a slap to the face. To them, Sosa wasn't just dropping a track, he was choosing sides. That's where loyalty gets tested. Who's riding for who's solid, and who's switching up when the pressure hits. That's the real heart of this whole mess. Because this wasn't just about a song, not even close. This was about over 10 years of tension, resentment, broken trust, and unhealed wounds. Money lost, friendships shattered, people locked up, all while the one who helped make the block famous seemed to move on, leaving everyone else behind in the smoke. When Rooms dropped, it reopened every old wound. It reminded O-Block of every moment they felt abandoned, every time they thought Sosa stopped caring. They saw the collab as proof that the bond was dead for good. Like the man who once put them on the map had finally cut that last tie. To really understand why O-Block reacted the way they did, you gotta rewind. All the way back to where it started. Back when the love between Keef and his block started turning sour. The fallouts, the shootings, the betrayals, the kind of blood that stains everything and never truly dries. Because let's be real, the smoke between Chief Keef and O-Block didn't begin with Rooms, and it definitely didn't start with Youngboy. Now, if you really want to trace this all the way back, the tension didn't start with no collab. It started when Chief Keef first began stacking real money. That's when jealousy, hurt, and street pride started mixing in a dangerous way. The first spark, it came from someone who was supposed to be his day one, Lil Durk. Durk, real name Dirk Banks, born in 1992, came up out of Englewood's 300 block, better known as Lamron, just a few corners away from O-Block on Chicago's South Side. Both of them repped BD, Black Disciples. Same movement, same mindset. They linked through mutual homies, shared the same struggles, and grew up in the same war zone.
Man, bro, did a song with Lul Timm. Man, y'all, shut y'all bitch. They ain't gonna do shit ass niggas up, man.
These were two young bulls in the trenches, dodging bullets, chasing dreams, and trying to turn pain into power. Dirk even said himself that Keef put Chicago on the map during the early drill wave, and he wasn't lying. For a minute, it looked like the two of them were unstoppable. the next big duo to take over the entire rap game straight out the South Side, but by 2013, something shifted, and that's when the cracks started showing. Word on the streets was Durk got locked on a gun charge and needed around $10,000 for bail, but Keef didn't come through. And apparently that wasn't even the first time. Rumor was O Block's own Trey 5 had been stuck needing $25,000 for bond, and once again, Keef didn't step up. To the ones still out there grinding on the block, catching cases, losing friends, and fighting to survive, that felt like betrayal. They saw Sosa getting rich off the same name, the same block that raised him, while they were still living the struggle. And from that point on, the loyalty between Keef and the block started cracking, and once those cracks appeared, they only got deeper. That kind of move hit different.
They ain't gonna do ass nigga up, man.
Real foul. In the eyes of the block, you don't blow up off the hood and then leave your people stranded when they need you most. That's just not how loyalty works. And to them, that's exactly what Chief Keef did. But then things got even messier. Word started spreading about a situation involving Boss Top, a well-known O Block member who allegedly ran up in Keef's crib and hit a lick on him. Yeah, you heard that right, and it didn't stop there. Rumors started flying that King Von himself had snatched 2 pipes from Keef, just straight up took his guns. After that, Sosa was done. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, he checked out. He had enough of the back and forth, enough of the fake love and the drama that came with O Block politics. So slowly but surely, he started pulling away. The exit didn't happen overnight. It came in stages, each one pulling him further from the only world he'd ever known. The first step was when his team moved him into that mansion out in the suburbs at just 16. Not to flex, but to save his life. Then in 2014, tragedy struck. His cousin, Blood Money, got killed. That loss hit deep. Keef even said publicly that losing Blood made him realize he had to grow up, that life in Chicago wasn't built for longevity. That's when his mindset shifted. He started thinking about leaving for good, trying to picture what life could be like outside of those constant crosshairs. But 2015, that was the breaking point. Keef was riding a motorbike, popped a tire, and next thing you know, 20 cops pull up on him with AK-47s drawn over a flat tire. 20 cops for one dude. That's when he said, bet. He packed up the team, grabbed what he had, and bounced straight to LA. For good. That was the moment Chief Keef officially closed the Chicago chapter and never looked back. Chief Keef called the quiet life in LA a total game changer. Not just for his peace of mind, but for his music too. He said moving out west was the best decision he ever made, and honestly, looking at how things played out, it's hard to argue with him. Out in Los Angeles, Sosa built a brand new life from scratch. No labels controlling him, no constant drama, just his own world. He became a father to 9 kids, started dropping music independently on his own terms, and began moving like a real boss. After Interscope dropped him back in 2014, he switched lanes completely. Got into art collecting, something he picked up during rehab, and started thinking bigger. In 2022, he launched his own label, 43B, through BMG and RBC, and by 2024, he dropped Almighty So 2, a project that showed a more grown-up, reflective version of Sosa. It proved he was done with the street politics and focused on legacy instead. But the reality, Keef hasn't touched Chicago soil in years, won't even risk going back. Too much legal smoke and too many safety threats. To him, it's protection. But to the people still on the block, it looks different. To them, it feels like he left and never looked back. Like he made it out, shut the door, and left everyone else behind to fend for themselves. That kind of resentment doesn't fade, it builds. For over a decade, that frustration was boiling under the surface like a pressure cooker waiting for something to blow. So when Rooms dropped, it wasn't just a song, it was the explosion, the final straw that made all that bottled up pain spill out into the open. But the real spark, the moment that turned rap beef into something deadly, went down on November 6, 2020, outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, Georgia. That's the night everything changed. The night the internet dices became real-life tragedy and blood hit the pavement for real. What went down that night changed everything. It was the moment that permanently shifted the path for everyone tied to this story. No turning back after this. King Von, O Block's golden child, the pride of the trenches, and assigned artist under Lil Durk's OTF, had become the heartbeat of his block.
My other partner was there. Like, I got loyalty for him. I got loyalty for my other partner. Like, that's just how I am.
After Sosa left, Von gave O Block a new face, a new identity, and a reason to believe again. He wasn't just another rapper. Von was a storyteller, the voice of the struggle, painting pictures of the life they lived with every bar. His album, Welcome to O Block, was more than music. It was therapy for the streets, raw and unfiltered, showing the pain and pride of his people. To the block, Von was the light at the end of the tunnel, proof that greatness could still come out of the mud even after Sosa dipped. But that night in Atlanta, November 6, 2020, everything spiraled fast. Outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge, Von ran into Quando Rondo's crew, and the tension exploded in seconds. Surveillance footage caught it all. Von walked straight up to Rondo's whip and threw a punch through the window, and in that instant, chaos took over. That's when Rondo's right-hand man, Timothy Leaks, better known as Lul Timm, pulled his piece and started firing. Multiple shots hit Von in the chest and stomach. It was over in seconds. The scene turned into absolute madness. People screaming, running, ducking for cover. Off-duty cops nearby heard the gunfire and started busting too. That night wasn't just another street fight. It was the spark that lit a war, one that would echo across the entire rap game for years to come. 6 people were hit that night. 6. And out of them, 3 never made it home. King Von, just 26 years old, Mark Blakely at 34, and another man whose name never even made the headlines. The scene was absolute chaos. Bodies laid out, gun smoke thick in the air, sirens screaming through the Atlanta night. The energy went from hype to heartbreak in seconds. Lul Timm caught bullets too, one in the hip, another in the backside, and by the next day he was booked on felony murder charges right from his hospital bed. Imagine that, 22 years old, shot up and barely healing, and already facing life in prison. The state of Georgia wasn't playing games, they wanted him gone. But here's where the story took a twist nobody saw coming. In March 2021, Timm posted a $100,000 bond and got out. But that freedom came with weight. He sat for over 2 years under a dark cloud, waiting to see if the system would bury him or let him walk. Then August 2023 hit, and Fulton County prosecutors pulled a move that stunned everyone from O-Block to the entire drill scene. They dropped every single charge. No indictment, no trial, nothing. The case was done before it even got that far. The state cited Georgia's Stand Your Ground law, and the footage didn't lie. Cameras showed Von throwing the first punch, making him the aggressor. Based on that, prosecutors said Timm acted in defense of his homie, Quando Rondo, trying to stop serious harm. The legal system saw the evidence and called it what they believed it was: self-defense. Timm's attorney, Noah O.P. Pines, laid it out plain and simple. His client wasn't the hunter that night. He was the one trying to survive. The case against Mr. Leaks was dismissed prior to ever being indicted. Just like that, case closed. And for O-Block, that was the absolute worst possible ending. Their brother's killer walked out free, and no trial, no time, nothing. But what made it even worse? Timm didn't just disappear quietly, he started talking. After those charges got dropped, Lul Timm came back loud, dropping diss tracks, posting wild clips, and even linking up with internet agitators like Charleston White. Charleston went viral, calling Von a demon and praising Timm for what he did. Full disrespect on camera. For O-Block, that was salt in a wound that was already bleeding. Month after month, they had to watch Timm taunt them like he didn't end a life that meant everything to them. Then came the moment that snapped the streets in half. Just 3 days after Rooms dropped, Timm pulled a move nobody saw coming, one that lit the internet on fire. February 16th, 2026, DJ Academics posted a clip on his Instagram that had the entire culture in shock before the video even hit 30 seconds. The post, shared from @Instagram.com/P/DU74NTJQ4HH, showed Lul Timm himself, the man who the feds couldn't touch, staring straight into the camera with no fear in his eyes. And what he said, it wasn't coded, it wasn't sly, it was blatant. He looked dead at the camera and addressed O-Block and OTF directly, throwing disrespect like he wanted smoke with the whole city. No subliminals, no sneak dices. He was telling them to shut up and sit down, word for word. The moment that clip hit the feed, it was over. People were picking sides, blogs were posting nonstop, and the streets were buzzing like never before. Timm didn't just poke the bear, he walked right up to it, stared it down, and dared it to bite back. Let that sink in for a second. The man who took King Von's life, the same Von who was the heartbeat of O-Block, the pride of that whole community, the one who carried their story through music, pain, and loyalty, that man is now on camera calling them out, saying their grief means nothing, their anger is empty, and their whole image of being tough, fake. That hit deep, deeper than any lyric ever could. He wasn't just throwing words around, he was mocking them, telling the block that all their talk, all their street energy, all their we outside bravado didn't mean a thing, and anyone who knows street culture understands those are fighting words straight up. In any hood across America, you don't let that slide. And Timm, he knew exactly what kind of fire he was lighting, then he took it further, way further. On camera, he laughed and said, "They ain't gonna do shit," before throwing in a wild insult. And right when the world thought he couldn't top that, boom, he dropped 3 words that shook the internet to its core. Get some money. That wasn't just a flex, that was surgical. A cold, calculated jab aimed straight at the one nerve O-Block and OTF couldn't hide at that time. He knew exactly where to hit, because behind all the headlines, the real message Timm was hinting at, the subtext, was clear to anyone plugged into the culture: the indictments. See, by this point, Lil Durk, the leader of OTF, the man who became the face and voice of the streets after Chief Keef left, was locked up, sitting in federal custody on murder-for-hire conspiracy charges. That's right. The same voice of the streets was now tangled in one of the biggest cases of his career, and the block was already hurting. So when Timm said, "Get some money," he wasn't just clowning them. He was rubbing salt in the wound, reminding everyone that their so-called boss was behind bars while he was free, grinning, and winning. It wasn't just disrespect. It was psychological warfare broadcast for the whole world to see. The Feds snatched up Lil Durk near Miami back in October 2024, and the charges were wild. They claimed Durk had orchestrated a whole hit on Quando Rondo to avenge King Von's death, but things didn't go as planned. Instead of getting Rondo, the shooters hit the wrong target. Rondo's cousin Ella Robinson was killed at a gas station in LA in August 2022. That single mistake turned the streets and the courts upside down, and it didn't stop with Durk. 5 of his OTF members, Kayvon London, Grant DeAndre, Dontrell Wilson, Keith Jones, and David Brian Lindsay, also known as A. Houston, all got hit with federal charges too. We're talking conspiracy to commit murder for hire, gun possession, and more. The feds didn't treat OTF like a rap crew. They treated it like a full-blown criminal enterprise. They even pulled out receipts, literal evidence showing OTF credit cards being used to fly shooters cross-country. Durk wasn't facing just a few years. He was staring down life. No parole, no short sentence, life. So when Lul Timm made that slick comment in his video about people ducking indictments, he was firing direct shots. He was basically saying, your boss is locked in a cage, your crew's getting picked off by the feds, and your whole operation's falling apart, and y'all still crying about a song? That hit hard, because love him or hate him, Timm was pressing the exact button that would trigger O-Block and OTF the most. It was ruthless, but it was strategic. Every word he said was meant to sting, and it did. The response from O-Block and their supporters, immediate and explosive. The internet turned into a war zone overnight. YouTube channels started lighting up with members going off, breaking silence, dropping threats, and teasing fresh diss tracks in real time. Studio lights were flashing across Chicago and Atlanta. Everybody had something to say and nobody was holding back. Twitter, or X, went wild too. The debates were nonstop. Fans, bloggers, and street insiders all picking sides, flooding timelines with opinions. One viral post summed it up perfectly. First, O-Block disowns Chief Keef. Now they mad because he's making music with the hottest rapper right now. The divide was clear. The culture was split right down the middle. What started as a song had now turned into a full-blown movement with egos, reputations, and legacies all hanging in the balance. And honestly, that's a fair point. You can't kick someone out of the family and then try to control who they work with. That's not how loyalty works. And this time, a huge chunk of the hip-hop community was siding with Sosa. Everywhere you looked, comments were rolling in like waves. It's business, never personal. And Chief understands the game. That's why he's free and still breathing. Social media was flooded with people calling out the truth that too many were trying to ignore. Folks started pointing out that the same ones yelling loyalty the loudest were the exact ones who had robbed Chief Keef's house, stole his straps, and never had his back when it actually mattered. The hypocrisy was so wild, it almost felt like a joke. Think about it. You can't disown a man, run up in his crib, take his weapons, erase his legacy, and then years later tell him who he can or can't make music with. That's not loyalty, that's entitlement. And the internet made sure O-Block heard that message loud and clear. Major outlets like Hot New Hip Hop started reporting on the drama, saying that despite all the chaos online, no physical retaliation had gone down. Not yet, at least. It was still digital warfare. Tweets flying, IG lives getting spicy, diss tracks cooking in studios across the map. It was personal, emotional, and tearing the culture in two. But beyond all the headlines and social media noise, this whole situation exposed something bigger, a contradiction that's been sitting in hip-hop for years, the conflict between street loyalty and personal growth. Chief Keef left O-Block 10 years ago, a whole decade, and while he was building something new for himself in LA, the block he helped put on the map was turning on him. He watched from a distance while Boss Top allegedly broke into his home, while King Von reportedly took his straps, while the same people who once shouted his name in every lyric started treating him like an outsider. That's the raw truth. The man who built O-Block's legend was being treated like the op, and that's the dark reality this whole situation dragged into the light, that in the streets, loyalty doesn't always mean love. And sometimes survival costs you your crown. Chief Keef built a whole new life out west. 9 kids, his own label, full independence, and real peace of mind. He did exactly what everybody from the trenches dreams about. He made it out. He survived everything that was meant to take him down. And now, years later, just because he hopped on a track with the wrong person, the same folks who pushed him away are trying to drag him back into the street politics he spent a decade escaping. Like, make it make sense. And what's crazy? Even Tim himself is out here talking about loyalty. What it means, who has it, and who doesn't. The irony is so thick you could slice it with a knife, because that's the exact word O-Block keeps throwing around: loyalty. The codes, the rules, the street commandments that supposedly decide who's solid and who's not. But here's the real truth. Those same codes are the ones that broke everybody. They're the same codes that got Lil Durk sitting in a federal cell. The same ones that got 5 of his OTF brothers indicted. The same ones that put King Von in the ground too early. And now, those same rules got the rest of the block stuck arguing online while the feds keep stacking cases in silence. Those codes ain't keeping nobody safe. They're not building wealth. They're not protecting families. All they're doing is feeding the same cycle. More funerals, more indictments, more pain. The streets call it loyalty, but at some point, it starts looking more like a trap. Whether you see Lul Timm as a menace who walked away from murder, a soldier who stood on business to protect his brother Quando Rondo, or just a troll who needs to log off and stop talking reckless, that depends on where you stand, but one thing's for sure. Everybody's got something to say, and in this story, loyalty might just be the most dangerous word of them all. His role in this story can't be denied. No matter how you feel about him, Lul Timm holds a place in hip-hop history that nobody would ever want, but everyone can't stop watching. His name sits right in the middle of one of the most controversial chapters the culture's ever seen, and his presence keeps the conversation alive, for better or worse. What this whole saga exposed runs deeper than rap. It cracked open the truth about loyalty versus self-preservation, the hood versus the hustle, holding grudges versus letting go and building something new. And those cracks, they're not getting fixed anytime soon, not with new music dropping every week, not with federal cases still pending, and definitely not with the internet keeping score of every bar, every post, every diss, and every move these artists making.
Because in the world of drill, the past never really stays in the past. It doesn't fade, it doesn't heal. It just waits, sits there, quiet and patient until the next beat drops, and then boom, it all resurfaces like it never left. The pain, the pride, the loss, the loyalty, it's all part of the same story that keeps repeating, just louder every time.
But what do you think? Was Chief Keef wrong for making that move, or was he just doing what he had to do to survive? Was Lul Timm speaking facts or just stirring the pot for clout? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear it. If you like this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and share button to keep the channel growing. Turn on those notifications so you never miss the next drop. And trust me, the next one's about to be wild. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.